Right, here is a practice assessment on airlines. I want you to pause the video, see if you can write two inequations and a revenue equation. See how you get on with that first. Well, you will need an inequation for space, an inequation for passengers, and a revenue equation. One of the first things you'll need to do is to decide which one is economy and which one is business. So I've got economy X and business Y. And then we'll do equations for the space and passengers and revenue using X and Y. Remember doing shading out, so I'm going to reverse the inequalities on this one here. So there are my three inequalities. This inequality, remember, I've reversed them so that they are the other way around because we can't go over 240. I'm going to use shading out. We do not plot the revenue equation on our graph, so there are going to be two lines, and you find the points of intersection. So use Desmos for that, or you can draw up a nice neat graph using freehand. So there's my graph with the blue line there representing the space, the black line from 200 to 200 representing the passengers, and I've got points A, B and C. So work out the coordinates of A, B and C. You can read B off Desmos, or you can use simultaneous equations on your graph, and then put them into the revenue equation to work out the maximum revenue. So here are my points, A, 0, 1, 20. When I put 0, 1, 20 into this revenue equation up here, I get the following. And I repeat for the same for the 128.72, the 200. So I can see my maximum revenue is $103,040. Then you need to write that solution out in a paragraph. When writing out your paragraph, make sure you explain what the 128 and 72 are. 128 economy passengers, 72 business class passengers, and also put in the maximum revenue. Now that would be for achieved. For the merit part, you need to look at how much can the airline increase the price for business class. Now let's do a bit of thinking. If you're going to increase the price of business class, and they're on the y-axis, would that mean you'd get more people paying or less people paying a high price? You would expect this to fall. So we want to bring the line down so it has the same gradient as the line A to B. So let's work out the gradient of the line A to B and look at how we can make the revenue line exactly the same in terms of the gradient. We need to make y the subject of this formula. So let's shift the 0.75x over the other side, 0.75x, it becomes negative. Then we have to divide everything by 2. Negative 0.75x divided by 2 plus 240 divided by 2. When you work this out on a calculator, that will give you negative 3/8 or negative, I think it's 0.375. We also want our revenue equation to have the same gradient. So at the moment, the revenue equation is 400x, but we want to change the y value. So we could put a q there or a different letter, and we find the gradient of that one there. We have to work out the gradient of that equation. So do that by change sign, similar to the other one. You'll get the gradient equals negative 400 over q. Make those equal each other, so we want this one to equal that one, and solve it. So you've got to solve that equation, multiply by q and times by 8, and you'll get that q equals 3200 over 3, or that's the price, 1066.66. Now we can check that. How we check that 1066.66, that's the maximum revenue. We then put it back into point A and point B, and we should get the same maximum revenue for both of those. So I'll leave that for you to check yourself, and that's how we get excellence. Make sure you write it, or merit rather, make sure you write that part up, and I'll write a little sentence just to show you what it should look like. So here is my final sentence here. The gradients need to be the same, and when we solve it, it gives a value of $1,066.66 for the price of a first class ticket. I've put the income there. It'll generate 128,000 dollars for 128 economy and 72 first class passengers. And any integer point along that line will generate that revenue. However, planes are usually set up with fixed seating, so it would not give the airlines flexibility in varying passenger numbers. I hope you understood that. Till next time.